I always felt like an outcast during my college days, where my entire experience became one of invalidations and confusion for 5 years. People told me to tone it down with my art because I should accept the fact that I was just a graphic designer and not an artist. But yet, I had others telling me that graphic design was art. I felt like living in hell, imprisoned by my creative skills, which created a horrible outcome after graduating. Forever hating and running away from graphic design. Until, later on, it came back to haunt me. On Christmas, I bought 2 acrylic standees from, oh my god, I'm gonna butcher her name, Korumuhangi. She's a great artist that I found on Instagram, and both pieces were extremely beautiful. Good for decoration and nothing else. And I thought to myself that I could actually pull this one off. And then an itching urge came by. Okay, cool, I got this. Rumberas Candela was born a decade ago, but it has been in development since last year, I believe. Can't remember. Anyway, Rumberas Candelas are a female trio made of gelatin, or jello, that resides in my deepest corner of my sexuality. Okay, so before you freak out, let me explain. According to Better Health Channel in their article Sexuality Explained, sexuality is not about whom you have sex with or how often you have it. Sexuality is about your sexual feelings, thoughts, attractions, and behavior toward other people. You can find other people physically, sexually, or emotionally attractive. And all those things are part of your sexuality. Sexuality is diverse and personal. It is an important part of who you are. Discovering your sexuality can be very liberating, exciting, and a positive experience. Not for me. Don't worry, mis cielas. Sooner or later, I'm just gonna explain that part. Anyway, let's get back to the Rumberas Candelas. During the creative process, I searched all the tools and mediums accessible to me and went forth with my imagination. Luckily, I was able to find my old incomplete sketches from my college days and started from there. How nostalgic but cringy. In the first stage, I designed a few concepts of how each entity would look and feel visually, from the height to the skin color, body type, clothing, and even facial structures. I will later on define their personalities, behaviors, and origin, in this case, nationality. Eventually, I did some testing here and there with prototypes, and holy shit, this feels so much work. Okay, so after I completed my final artwork, art pieces, I began studying the acrylic standees that I bought from Korumuhangi, and I managed to break down their parts from length, height, and thickness. But I was clueless about creating the standees or which manufacturer provided such services to create them. So I decided to ask for some help from experts. I pop up in William's messages and asking for help. William is a longtime friend that I met 2 years ago in the worst convention in Puerto Rico, which was in Guanica. Fortunately for us, we became good friends and allies in the creative industry. He has a lot of knowledge about complex merchandise, printing machinery, and lots of experience with international manufacturers. We went from constant communication, exchanging multiple videos, scaling together each acrylic standees multiple times, and communicating with 3 companies simultaneously for quotes. And we cannot also forget our favorite part of this creative process: the issues. Issues that may be common if you don't have the proper knowledge to begin with. For example, protocols or backup plans if the primary one failed. Furthermore, we face incomplete pieces, miscommunication, platform glitches, and more issues during the weeks. William explained to me with such patience and detail how to do the proper setup of the product, though I can't remember a shit. Anyway, he also explained the importance of the use of the silhouette method, which is leaving no transparent pixels behind, and how the millimeters is used essentially on the other side of the world for scaling. Bro. We knew we were gambling our way to either be served or be played. There was no guarantee that things could work out 100%. But like Chris Du says, he's a graphic designer that I admire so much, to have greater results, you need to take a bigger risk. William ended up making a beautiful chart with the 3 companies from the most expensive to the cheapest. So we disqualify the most expensive one, and for our surprise, the cheapest one ghosted us. And we were facing a new challenge. A new company appeared with only 3 years of experience and cheap products. So I believe there was a catch. And you know that famous quote from Puerto Ricans, lo barato sale caro. So we took the chance to deliver the payment for the samples in order to inspect properly the prototypes for a future merchandise to be sold on my store. The company offered us to ship the 5 samples, which were like 6-inch, and it was about $75, and which we say nope. 2 weeks later, a message was received and we finally got it. The acrylic standees became a success after prototyping. They were exactly how I visualized them the entire time. This is one of the biggest accomplishments I have ever done, where I just finally created something out of fear and had beaten the odds. But something didn't feel right. There was something missing, and I couldn't shake the thought of that feeling. How are people going to connect or identify with my characters? What type of impact do I want to create with my brand? And how can I engage with my community that loves this type of art? These were very serious and deep questions. So I had to embrace what I've been denying for so long and I'm good at: designing. I love to document every project I make, from prototypes, failures, methodologies, and protocols. I had a few notebooks lying around in my studio, but each were taken with their respected fields. I knew I had to have some leftovers. And this is what I remember, that I had this special notebook for my Rumberas brand, which was gifted by my best friends, Amas Bebe and Fuffy Crafty. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Papi Crafty. Furthermore, I wanted to work on something that wasn't part of my life, but yet a lot of people enjoyed it. In this case, I wanted to work with the psychology, the trivia, and something that wasn't part of my life, but I knew people enjoyed the zodiac signs. But wait, there's more. I had no fucking clue about the zodiac signs, so I needed another expert on this field. And this time I chose Rory Buggins. Her name is Rosairi. Another great, cool, outgoing artist who helped me out during the assembly of my zodiac system using my characters and a special diagram of elements, categories, personalities, behaviors, and assets. After a couple of exchanges on Messenger, corrections, and resources, I finally was able to come up with a functional system, which was released between May and June. Sorry, I don't remember, guys. And it's called How Rumberas Candela Are You? And it's on my website and all social medias. It took me a few tweaks in the coding, testing out the prototype with close friends, testing out in several platforms, technical help, and more coding. Though guaranteeing 100% accuracy was not the intention, it provided a fun and interactive experience for the audience. Perhaps even a memorable or insightful one according to a few responses. From excited friends, happy allies, and even eager fans and strangers. Whoa. They fulfill our desire to belong, to be a character in those stories. They make us feel like a better version of ourselves. And we associate or transfer those positive emotional states to the brand itself. Such relevant value proposition can persuade us to overlook price, personal taste, and even product similarities. Successful brands understand the importance of feelings and emotions in the customer experience. Every single interaction customers have with a brand is an opportunity to leave a lasting impression on the mind. When we feel welcome, when our needs are met, when our expectations are exceeded, when each moment of the customer experience provides a relevant emotional value, we are likely to recommend the brand and also to purchase again. A quote from David Mendes on his article, Why Brands Need Emotional Value. During the college phase, I learned this concept of emotional value in a product or service, and it was a very interesting and weird concept. You know, I thought graphic design was all about visuals and technical stuff, but things apparently got complicated yet fascinating on my part. I was just not fully committed due to bad personal experiences and a lack of guidance. Fast forward to June, I got a notification from William, that my package arrived to the island. And we were both excited to experience the moment of truth. The whole ordeal of touching the heavy box, ripping the thing apart, scavenging between the plastic and the bubble wraps, to then finally touch the acrylic standees. Assembling the pieces and admiring the final product was priceless. We had a magical moment there, a special accomplishment that we will never forget. The next day, I decided to invite my friends to my house to help me shoot some footage. I carefully organized my merchandise, separated the sample products from the final ones.
Basta. Pussy!
Amma and Efrat had some pretty cool electronic gadgets, and I just decided to ask them to bring them over so we could play along with it, like the spinning plate and the LED light box. So we spent the night recording stuff and making jokes. So how how I usually come up with these ideas. Basically, they come from my values, the beliefs, or experiences. And most of the times, the experiences, they're basically traumatic events, or just it's about paradoxical ideas, fear, or just curiosity. Okay, so these characters, they were created a decade ago when I was in college. So it is divided in 3 essential elements of why these characters became what they became, or how they were born. The first element has to do when I was in college, and it was about nostalgic moments that I have with my grandfather. Whenever I came from college, I would just reunite with him in the living room, and he was watching his favorite Mexican channel. I don't remember the name. And there was this particular section called Rumberas, which is actually a section about this woman's dressed in typical dresses, which is flowers, fruit, whatever, and they would just dance in specific places. And it was about a lot of nationalities of Cuban women or Mexican women, and their story were related to their struggles, success, failures, empowerment as women. The second element that is very important with this project, it's based on my sexual orientation. I basically am rediscovering myself and trying to comprehend certain things that I truly do not understand, as I'm asexual. And it was a bit weird for me when people came and they would just praise sex, and I just did not understand what was so cool about sex. And even though I tried it, still don't know what it's cool about it. So yeah, being asexual, it's quite difficult because sometimes, well, most of the time I cannot relate to people and their experiences. The third one will be, this is actually the most impactful one, because the third one, it's related to a traumatic event. I went through a sexual assault last year in my home by someone who I thought was my friend, and that completely changed me last year. So for me, it's quite difficult to establish some relationship, and I'm usually always on the guard and protecting myself. So this whole sexual assault has changed me in many ways, and it's part of this project, because no matter how you look, how you project yourself, express, or how do you behave, it doesn't mean it's an invitation or any type of consent for anybody to touch you inappropriately or just express something obscene. I mean, we are just the way that we are, but it doesn't validate anyone to just, do whatever they want because they have urges or they cannot even control themselves. So yeah, those will be my 3 essential pillars about this project. Well, yeah, you can call it art, but I would basically say it's heavily influenced in design. I have a lot going on with this project. It's not about how cute or colorful these characters are, but it's based about psychology, how the audience react to it, whether it's based with bonus things like the zodiac sign, because I made a small quiz based on behaviors and beliefs with a little bit of zodiac sign. I'm not a person of zodiacs, but a lot of people enjoy it, so I like to see their reactions and their input whenever they interact with this character. So there's a lot going on in the process that has to do a lot with psychology and how these people perceive these characters and their roles, their behavior, their origins, and so forth. So basically, whenever we are trying to find a solution for things, we work for a pyramid, and this pyramid, it's divided in 3 sections. The first section would be the society. Second section will be the environment, whether if it's climate change. And third section will be the economics. So I usually aim for the first section, which is the society, because I like to connect with people and gain experiences, whether it's positive or negative. Even though I'm just a dismissive avoidant. And dismissive avoidants, they usually don't like connecting with people and having intimacy. So basically, it's a very paradoxic thing for me to say. Okay, so my favorite part about this process or artwork is the most misunderstood and invisible one, which is the creative process. Usually people think that we just draw little things and just poof, with a magic wand, we just make things happen. And it's not actually that way. There's always a pre-production or a pre-process, well, a process that goes through so many changes back and forth. And with the pre-process or the pre-concept, whatever you want to say it, it goes through brainstorming ideas, macro, micro, filtering, perspective, whether it's connecting the dots, doing research, and so forth. So this is the thing that usually people are not aware, especially customers or clients. And it's something that it should be embraced and, you know, show to the public, because there's actually a process, there's a value, there's a meaning to this. It's not just a message, but it's about making different prototypes, because obviously the first solution will not always guarantee that it's gonna be the solution. You have to go through many prototypes to fail. And this is the whole concept of the creative process. You document this whole process to see whether these prototypes do have the solution required to, you know, help the society. In this case, I'm trying to just simply connect with the people and see what they like through my art. Okay, I think we're out. We're done. Are we done? Okay, yeah. Tengo calor, puñeta. In every piece we do, every artwork, there will always be a process, a design, something bigger, perhaps beyond the superficial aspect, that can develop a sense of meaning and connection to your community. And no matter what, as long as you maintain those core values aligned with your fans and provide them an exceptional experience, they will always follow you like a cult. Fans will believe and support you on the long run. On the other hand, clients will be an experiment that you will pay to chase for their attention. Thank you, mis cielas, for being part of this video, and I hope to see you soon. Pues dale, bye, chequeamos.